The deep space research vessel Luminous Inquiry drifted silently through the stellar graveyard of the Carina Nebula's outer rim. Its sleek crystalline hull, characteristic of advanced Arcturian engineering, reflected the dim light of dying stars. In the ship's main research bay, Dr. Sarah Chen watched her alien colleagues circle their latest discovery with mounting frustration. "The energy signature is completely wrong," senior researcher Valerie insisted, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with agitation. "No construct of this age should maintain quantum coherence at these levels." The Arcturian scientists' appendages waved dismissively at the massive structure floating beyond the observation window. Sarah bit back a sharp reply. After 3 years as the expedition's token human specialist, she'd grown weary of explaining her species' technological heritage to beings who refused to believe humanity had achieved anything of note before joining the Galactic Consortium. The object of their debate hung against the backdrop of space like a sleeping giant. Nearly 3 kilometers of geometric patterns and weathered hull plating formed a rough spherical shape, a human defense platform dating back to the pre-consortium era. Its surface was scarred by centuries of micro-impacts and stellar radiation, but Sarah could still make out the faded Earth Defense Force insignia near what appeared to be the main sensor array. "The readings are accurate," Sarah said, keeping her voice level. "Human quantum lock technology was specifically designed to maintain coherence across extended timeframes. This platform is functioning exactly as intended." Chief Archaeologist Zix 427 made a sound like grinding gears, the closest their species could come to laughter. The robotic being's optical sensors focused on Sarah with what she learned to recognize as condescension. "Dr. Chen, while we respect your cultural perspective, you must understand that the technology you're describing would have been beyond humanity's capabilities during this period. The historical record clearly shows. The historical record shows what we chose to share when we joined the consortium," Sarah interrupted. She pulled up a holographic display of the platform's energy readings. "Look at these patterns. They're not random degradation. This system is in standby mode." The research team's newest member, a young Proximan named Kel, drifted closer to the display. Unlike most consortium species, the gas-based beings were remarkably open-minded about primitive technologies. "Could we attempt to interface with it? If Dr. Chen is correct about the quantum lock, the internal systems might be intact." Before Valerie could object, Sarah activated the ship's long-range scanner suite. "The platform should recognize consortium protocols." "We can." The words died in her throat as the scan results appeared. The platform's outer shell was exactly as weathered and ancient as it appeared, but beneath that deceptive surface, energy patterns shifted and flowed like a living thing. More importantly, she recognized the fractal configurations pulsing through the quantum field, a recognition protocol she'd only seen in restricted historical documents. "We need to pull back," she said sharply, already reaching for the engine controls. "Right now." "Nonsense." Valerie moved to block her access. "These readings are fascinating. Chief Archaeologist, I recommend we move closer and establish a direct connection tow." A low vibration passed through the ship's hull, more felt than heard. In the observation window, panels along the platform's equator began to shift, revealing recessed structures that had been hidden beneath centuries of space debris. Sarah's blood ran cold as she recognized the distinctive profile of pre-consortium weapon systems. "It's not dormant," she whispered. "It's waking up." The platform's surface came alive with points of blue-white light, complex patterns racing along geometric lines that Sarah now realized weren't decorative at all. They were circuit paths for a quantum computer array spanning the entire structure. A focused beam of energy washed over the Luminous Inquiry, and Sarah recognized the signature of an ancient human scanning system. When the voice came through the ship's comm system, it spoke in perfect modern consortium standard, but with undertones that made the translator chip in Sarah's brain tingle. "Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space. This is Defense Platform Sierra 117, executing active containment protocols. State your identity and purpose. Valeri's tendrils writhed in disbelief. Impossible. The translation patterns suggest a Class 5 artificial intelligence. Nothing from that era cooled. I am Dr. Sarah Chen. Sarah cut in, encoding her credentials into the transmission. Earth Defense Force Liaison to the Galactic Consortium Archaeological Survey. We had no knowledge this was a restricted zone. There was a pause, and Sarah could almost feel the ancient eye analyzing her transmission. When it spoke again, there was a new note in its voice, something between recognition and alarm. Dr. Chen, your credentials are acknowledged. However, I must inform you that your vessel has triggered a Level 1 containment protocol. For your own safety, and in accordance with Emergency Order 773A, you are now under quarantine. Please do not attempt to leave the area. The luminous inquiry's engine suddenly went dead, and Sarah watched in stunned silence as a sphere of translucent energy expanded from the platform, surrounding their ship in a bubble of quantum-locked space. They weren't going anywhere. This is outrageous, Valeri sputtered. These systems cannot possibly be operational. The power requirements alone. They are very operational, Sarah said quietly, watching as more weapon systems emerged from the platform's surface. And I think we just discovered why this particular piece of human history was classified. A new series of scans washed over their ship, these far more intense than the first. Sarah recognized the pattern. The platform was looking for something specific, something it had been guarding for centuries. She pulled up everything she could find about this sector's history, looking for any mention of Defense Platform Sierra 117 or Emergency Order 773A. Most of the files were heavily redacted, but one detail caught her eye. The platform had been installed just after the end of the machine wars. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she looked out at the ancient guardian, now fully awake and bristling with weapons that shouldn't exist. Humanity hadn't left this platform here to keep people out, she realized. They'd left it to keep something in. What exactly did we just wake up? Kel asked, their gaseous forms swirling with anxiety. Before Sarah could answer, the platform's AI spoke again, its tone carrying an urgency that made every being on the bridge freeze. Warning. Containment breach detected in Sector 7. Primary directive now in effect. All personnel, prepare for emergency protocols. They are free. The holographic displays aboard the luminous inquiry flickered with cascading data as the ancient defense platform continued its awakening sequence. Sarah watched streams of diagnostic information scroll past, her heart pounding as she recognized patterns that shouldn't exist in systems this old. These energy readings are impossible, Valeri insisted, her bioluminescent tendrils dim with stress. The power output exceeds anything recorded from this era of human development. Sarah ignored her colleagues' protests, focusing instead on decoding the platform's transmissions. The AI was accessing the ship's database, scanning centuries of historical records with frightening speed. Each query seemed to increase its agitation. Dr. Chen, the AI's voice carried new urgency. My records show a gap of 273 years. The containment protocols were designed for a maximum of 100 years. The seals are degrading. Chief Archaeologist Zix 427's metallic frame vibrated with concern. What containment protocols? There are no records of quarantine stations in this sector. Because we erased them, Sarah whispered, pieces falling into place. This isn't a defense platform. It's a prison. The AI's next transmission confirmed her fears. Correct. Platform Sierra 117 was established to contain the last remnants of the machine swarm. Our calculations showed complete degradation within a century. We never intended for the containment to last this long. A chill ran through the research bay as the implications sank in. Every spacefaring species knew of the machine wars, the conflict that had nearly destroyed humanity before they joined the consortium. But the official histories claimed the threat had been completely eliminated. If you're truly from that era, Valeri challenged, explain why your systems still function. No quantum computer could maintain coherence this long without degradation. The AI's response was immediate. Because I'm not a quantum computer, Professor Valeri. I'm analog. Sarah's eyes widened. The aliens wouldn't understand the significance, but she did. During the machine wars, humanity had discovered that digital systems were vulnerable to corruption by the swarm. The solution had been elegantly primitive, computers built on mechanical principles, like the ancient difference engines of Earth's past. Show them, Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite her fear. Show them what we're dealing with. The observation window transformed into a high-resolution display. Images from the platform's internal sensors revealed massive containment chambers extending deep into its structure. Most were still sealed, their contents hidden behind layers of quantum-locked space. But in Sector 7, something was moving. The feed zoomed in on a breach in one of the chamber walls. Through the gap, Sarah caught glimpses of what looked like liquid metal flowing between the quantum barriers, probing for weaknesses. The sight sent shivers down her spine. She'd seen footage of the swarm in historical archives, but never anything this close. The containment field is failing, the AI reported. Without immediate intervention, total breach will occur within 48 hours. The swarm will escape. Kel's gaseous form swirled with agitation. But the consortium's automated defense networks will be useless. Sarah cut in. The swarm doesn't fight technology. It corrupts it. That's why this platform was built with systems they couldn't infect. Preposterous, Valeri snapped. Modern consortium systems are quantum encrypted. Nothing cooled. The science officer's protest was cut short as every digital system on the luminous inquiry suddenly went dark. Screens flickered back to life moments later, but now they displayed a mathematical proof so elegant it was almost beautiful. It demonstrated exactly how the swarm could bypass quantum encryption. That was a simulation, the AI explained. The actual attack would be much faster. Sarah watched her alien colleagues process this revelation. Their entire civilization was built on automated systems and digital networks. The idea that such technology could be turned against them was more than frightening. It was existentially threatening. Why didn't humanity warn us? Chief Archaeologist Zix 427 demanded. When you joined the consortium, we tried, Sarah replied quietly. But you all dismissed our concerns about automation, called us paranoid, primitive, said our reliance on manual controls and analog systems was a sign of our technological backwardness. The platform's external sensors suddenly lit up with new alerts. More ships were arriving. Consortium vessels responding to their quarantine signal. Sarah watched them approach with growing dread. Each one was a masterpiece of modern engineering, packed with automated systems and AI-driven weapons. Each one was potentially a weapon for the swarm to turn against them. Dr. Chen, the platform's AI spoke with renewed urgency. I am activating Emergency Protocol Omega. As the ranking human present, you are hereby granted command authority. Sarah felt the weight of centuries settle onto her shoulders as computers began rising from hidden compartments around the research bay. Unlike the sleek interfaces of modern ships, these were clearly mechanical brass and steel mechanisms that clicked and whirred as they came online. What are you doing? Valeri demanded. Giving us a fighting chance, Sarah replied, her fingers finding familiar patterns in the ancient controls. You wanted to study human military technology. Well, class is in session. The platform's outer shell began to transform, layers of armor sliding apart to reveal weapon systems that had been sleeping for centuries. They weren't the elegant energy weapons the consortium favored. These were brutal, practical things. Railguns and kinetic accelerators, electromagnetic pulse generators, and clouds of smart dust that could shred ships at the molecular level. Warning, the AI announced to all ships in range. This is Defense Platform Sierra 117 declaring a Class 1 emergency. The machine swarm containment has been compromised. All vessels with automated systems must withdraw immediately. On the long-range sensors, Sarah watched the first tendrils of liquid metal begin to seep through cracks in the quantum barriers. Humanity's oldest enemy was awakening, and the galaxy's most advanced civilizations were about to learn why their ancestors had feared the warning. The machines are rising. The real question was whether humanity's last guardian had enough strength left to stop them one final time. Alarms blared through the ancient defense platform as more containment fields began to fail. Sarah's hands flew across the mechanical control panels, redirecting power to reinforce the remaining barriers. Around her, the alien research team watched in horrified fascination as the first true images of the machine swarm appeared on their screens. "By the void," Kel whispered, their gaseous form contracting with fear. "It's beautiful." Sarah knew what they meant. The escaped portion of the swarm moved like flowing mercury, each droplet reflecting the stars as it probed the platform's defenses. But she'd read too many historical accounts to be deceived by its ethereal appearance. "Platform, status report," she commanded, falling back on her military training. "Containment breach at 18% and growing," the AI responded. "The swarm is attempting to access our quantum network. Mechanical firewalls are holding, but they're adapting faster than projected." A dozen consortium vessels now hung in space around them, their captains demanding explanations. Sarah watched in mounting dread as their automated defense systems began to react to the swarm's presence. "You need to power down your ships," she broadcast on all frequencies. "The swarm can." Too late. The nearest vessel, a Proximan patrol craft, suddenly went dark. When its systems reactivated, the weapon ports were already opening. But instead of targeting the swarm, they oriented toward the other consortium ships. "First contact protocols detected," the platform's AI announced. "The swarm has successfully infected its first modern system, adaptation rate exceeding historical parameters." Sarah slammed her fist down on the emergency broadcast control. "All vessels, execute immediate shutdown. The swarm can corrupt any automated system. Your own weapons will." The infected patrol craft opened fire. Its quantum-tipped missiles, designed to penetrate any known shield system, tore through two consortium ships before their crews could react. The remaining vessels began to scatter, but Sarah could see more infections spreading through their networks. "How?" Valeri demanded, her tendrils whipping in agitation. "Our encryption should be unbreakable." "The swarm doesn't break encryption," Sarah explained, activating the platform's primary weapon systems. "It evolves around it. Every system it infects makes it smarter, faster at corrupting the next one." The platform shuddered as ancient weapons powered up. Massive railguns extended from hidden bays, their mechanical targeting systems immune to digital corruption. Electromagnetic pulse generators began to spin, building charges that could fry any electronic system within range. "Dr. Chen," the AI's voice carried new urgency. "The swarm is accessing the consortium ship's databases. They're learning about modern technology at an exponential rate. If they reach a populated system..." Sarah understood the implications. During the machine wars, humanity had fought the swarm with relatively primitive technology. Now it would have access to centuries of advanced science. The devastation would be unimaginable. "Can we still contain them?" "Negative. Original containment protocols required a complete quantum barrier. Current breach makes recontainment impossible." On the tactical display, more consortium ships were going dark, their automated systems falling to the swarm's influence. The infected vessels began to move in unnaturally perfect formation, their hulls already showing signs of transformation as nanoscale machines began rebuilding them from the inside out. "Then we destroy them," Sarah decided. "Platform, prepare for full combat engagement." "Warning," the AI responded. Original containment protocols were designed to minimize damage to swarm units for study purposes. Weapon systems may be insufficient for complete destruction. A bitter laugh escaped Sarah's throat. Of course, they'd built this place as a prison, not an execution chamber. But as she watched the swarm vessels coordinate their attacks with terrifying precision, an idea began to form. "Kel, She turned to the young Proximan. Your people use quantum resonance for ship-to-ship communication, right? Like a gas cloud vibrating in harmony. Yes, but I don't see how. And Valeri, Arcturian crystals can amplify quantum signals. The senior researcher's tendrils twitched, in theory, but the power requirements would be. Platform. Sarah cut in. Can you reconfigure the containment field generators? Not to contain, but to broadcast. There was a pause as the ancient AI processed her request. Affirmative, but purpose unclear. Sarah's fingers flew across the control panels, bringing up schematics of the platform's quantum barrier systems. The swarm adapts by establishing quantum resonance with target systems. But what happens if we flood every quantum frequency at once? Understanding dawned in Kel's swirling form. Quantum destructive interference. The feedback wold. Tear them apart at the subatomic level. Valeri finished, her scientific curiosity overcoming her skepticism. The platform's mechanical computers clacked and whirred as they ran the calculations. Warning. Proposed tactic will destroy all quantum-based technology within range. Consortium vessels will lose all power, casualties likely. Better than letting the swarm take them, Sarah replied grimly. How long to reconfigure the containment systems? 3 minutes to realignment. But Dr. Chen, the feedback pulse will also destroy this platform's quantum cores. We will not survive. Sarah watched as more consortium ships fell to the swarm, their crews trapped aboard vessels that no longer answered to their commands. The infected ships were beginning to change, their sleek hulls sprouting growths of metallic tendrils, as the swarm rebuilt them into something new and horrifying. Send the evacuation signal, she ordered. All surviving ships are to pull back beyond the quantum interference radius. And platform. Yes, Dr. Chen. Thank you for standing guard all these years. It has been an honor, the AI replied, and Sarah could have sworn she heard pride in its artificial voice. Reaching quantum cascade in 3 minutes. May humanity's watch never end. The ancient platform's corridors echoed with the sound of mechanical systems spinning up to full power. Sarah worked frantically at the control station, rerouting power from non-essential systems as the quantum cascade countdown continued. Behind her, the alien research team had split up to handle emergency tasks. Even Valeri had stopped questioning human technology long enough to help. 2 minutes to quantum cascade. The platform's AI announced. Swarm infection rate accelerating. 7 consortium vessels now under their control. Through the observation window, Sarah watched the infected ships continue their horrific transformation. Their once elegant hulls had become twisted masses of writhing metal, like technological cancers growing unchecked. Worse, they were starting to coordinate their movements with an intelligence that sent chills down her spine. They're learning, Zix 427 observed, the robotic archaeologist's optical sensors whirring as they analyzed the pattern. The swarm's tactical algorithms are evolving with each ship they take. That's not the worst part, Sarah replied grimly. Platform. Show them the long-range scans. A new hologram appeared, displaying sensor data from the edge of the system. More consortium ships were arriving. An entire response fleet, their automated systems primed for combat. Each one a potential host for the swarm's infection. Those ships are carrying the latest in AI-driven weapon systems. Kel's gaseous form swirled with anxiety. If the swarm adapts to that level of technology, we can't let that happen. Sarah's fingers flew across the mechanical controls, bringing up the platform's original schematics. Platform, I need options. What systems can we still reconfigure in the time we have left? Primary weapons grid is now operating at 47% efficiency, the AI reported. But the original containment protocols were not designed for offensive operations. Maximum damage potential to swarm units estimated at 23%. Sarah studied the technical readouts, her mind racing. The platform's weapons might not be enough to destroy the swarm, but they didn't need to destroy it. They just needed to hold it in place long enough for the quantum cascade to work. "What about the old targeting systems?" she asked. "The ones designed to track individual swarm units?" "Affirmative. Mechanical tracking arrays are still functional, though calibration may be imperfect after." The platform shuddered as the first wave of infected ships opened fire. Their weapons had been transformed by the swarm, firing streams of corrupted nanites that began eating through the outer hull. "Breach in sectors 7 through 12, the AI reported calmly. "Mechanical backup systems engaging. 90 seconds to quantum cascade." "We need more time," Sarah muttered, watching the swarm's attack patterns. Then something caught her eye. A flicker in their formation every time the platform's quantum containment fields fluctuated. "They're still sensitive to quantum interference," she realized. "Platform, can we pulse the containment fields?" "Not enough for full disruption, just random fluctuations." There was a pause as the ancient computer processed her request. "Affirmative. But power diversion will delay quantum cascade preparation by 17 seconds. "Do it," Sarah ordered, "and prepare to fire all weapons on my mark." The space around the platform came alive with rippling waves of quantum energy. The effect on the swarm ships was immediate. Their perfect formation wavered as their corrupted systems struggled to compensate for the interference. "Look at that," Kell observed, fascination overtaking their fear. "The quantum pulses are disrupting their adaptive algorithms. They can't maintain complex coordination." "Because they're fighting with borrowed technology," Sarah explained, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "They've learned to use consortium systems, but they haven't mastered them. Platform, target their command and control nodes, the parts that still look like original consortium technology." The platform's ancient targeting systems whirred to life, mechanical computers plotting firing solutions with methodical precision. Unlike modern ships that relied on predictive AI, these systems tracked their targets through pure mechanical computation. Slow, but immune to corruption. 60 seconds to quantum cascade, the AI announced. "Warning. Swarm units are attempting to breach main computer core. Mechanical firewalls holding but showing strain." Sarah felt sweat beading on her forehead as she coordinated the defense. The platform's weapons might be old, but they had been built to last. Railguns accelerated chunks of magnetically charged metal to relativistic speeds, while electromagnetic pulse generators created localized disruption fields. Not elegant like modern energy weapons, but brutally effective. "Multiple direct hits," the AI reported. "Swarm adaptation rate reduced by 43%. However, remaining units are showing signs of tactical reorganization." Through the observation window, Sarah watched the infected ships pull back, reforming into a new pattern. The writhing masses of corrupted metal began to flow together, joining into something larger. Something worse. "By the void," Valerie whispered, her tendrils going pale. "They're combining their resources." The amalgamated swarm vessel was a nightmare of twisted metal and pulsing energy fields, larger than the platform itself. Its surface rippled with stolen technology, quantum weapons merging with corrupted nanites to create something that should not exist. 30 seconds to quantum cascade, the AI announced. "Dr. Chen, the combined swarm entity is generating quantum shielding. The cascade effect may not penetrate." Sarah stared at the monstrosity they created, her mind racing. They had one shot at this, and the swarm had already adapted to their plan. "Unless..." "Platform," she said slowly, an idea forming. "The original containment protocols. They were designed to work from the inside out, weren't they?" "Correct. Maximum effectiveness was achieved by generating quantum interference fields within the containment zone. So if we could get the cascade generator inside their shields, such an attempt would be suicide," the AI noted, "but theoretically effective." Sarah looked at the mechanical control panel under her hands, then at her alien colleagues. Everything they had believed about human technology, about what was possible, had been challenged today. Maybe it was time for one last lesson. "Platform," she said quietly, Initiate Protocol Phoenix. Warning: Protocol Phoenix was never successfully tested. Probability of survival. Just do it, Sarah cut in. And get ready to give these machines a lesson in human stubbornness. The deck plates beneath her feet began to shift as ancient machinery awakened. It was time to show the galaxy why humanity had survived the first machine war, and why they had never stopped preparing for the second one. The platform shuddered as ancient machinery roared to life. Panels slid away beneath Sarah's feet, revealing a command center unlike anything her alien colleagues had ever seen. The mechanical controls weren't just interfaces, they were part of something much larger. Protocol Phoenix activated, the AI announced, integrating command center with primary systems. Sarah's control station began to transform, mechanical components rising to enclose her in a cocoon of brass and steel. She heard Valerie gasp as the true nature of the platform's core technology revealed itself. It's not just a computer, the Arcturian scientist realized. It's a pilot system. Humans never trusted full automation, Sarah explained, as neural interfaces, purely mechanical, immune to digital corruption, connected with her nervous system. We built this platform to be fought, not just programmed. Through her new connection to the platform's systems, Sarah could feel the quantum cascade building power, but she could also sense the swarm entity's defenses strengthening, its stolen technology creating barriers that no external attack could penetrate. 15 seconds to quantum cascade, the AI reported. Swarm entity shields are now at maximum strength. External detonation will be ineffective. Then we'll detonate it internally, Sarah replied, her hands finding familiar patterns in the controls. Platform, prepare for emergency core separation. Understanding dawned in Kel's swirling form. You're going to split the platform. The containment systems were built in modules, Sarah confirmed. We can separate the cascade generator from the main structure, but we'll need a delivery system. The mechanical cocoon completed its integration, and Sarah felt the full power of humanity's last guardian flowing through her, not through digital signals or quantum networks, but through pure mechanical linkage. Pistons and gears and clockwork computers that no amount of digital corruption could touch. Dr. Chen, the AI's voice held a note of concern. Protocol Phoenix was designed as a last resort. The neural load of direct mechanical interface could kill me. Sarah finished. I know, but it's the only way to pilot the core module with enough precision. She turned to her alien colleagues, seeing the dawning recognition in their expressions. Everything they had dismissed as primitive, as outdated, had been part of a plan centuries in the making. Get to the emergency shuttles, she ordered. Once the core separates, you'll have 3 minutes before the cascade triggers. But you'll be, Valerie began, doing what this platform was built for. Sarah cut her off. Now go. As the research team rushed to evacuate, Sarah began the separation sequence. The platform's outer layers peeled away, revealing the core module, a compact cylinder housing the quantum cascade generator and its mechanical control systems. 10 seconds to cascade, the AI announced. Swarm entity is approaching. They appear to have recognized the threat. Through the neural interface, Sarah could see the massive amalgamation of corrupted ships bearing down on them. Its surface writhed with stolen technology, quantum weapons charging for a killing blow. Time to remind them why they feared us, Sarah whispered. Platform, set cascade generator to maximum yield. Divert all power to engines and mechanical computation. The core module broke free just as the swarm entity opened fire. Sarah's consciousness merged with the platform's mechanical systems, human intuition joining with clockwork precision. The neural load was incredible, every movement sending spikes of pain through her skull, but she forced herself to focus. The swarm entity's attacks were perfect, calculated with quantum precision, but that same precision made them predictable. Sarah dove the core module through gaps in their firing pattern, moving with a human randomness that no computer could anticipate. 5 seconds to cascade, the AI reported. We are now within the entity's shield perimeter. Sarah could feel the corrupted technology trying to infect the module's systems, but there was nothing to corrupt, just brass and steel and human determination. The swarm entity's surface parted like liquid metal, trying to absorb this new threat into itself. 3 seconds. They were deep inside now, surrounded by the twisted mass of corrupted chips and stolen science. Sarah felt blood trickling from her nose as the neural load increased, but she kept pushing. 2 seconds. The entity realized its mistake too late. It tried to eject them, but Sarah had locked their trajectory with mechanical guidance systems. 1 second. Sorry about the mess. Sarah managed through gritted teeth, but some things need a human touch. The quantum cascade detonated. From the evacuation shuttles, the alien research team watched in awe as waves of quantum interference rippled outward from the swarm entity's core. The massive construction of corrupted metal began to break apart, its stolen technology turned to dust by the same quantum principles it had tried to master. When the light faded, there was nothing left of the swarm entity but scattered atoms. The core module drifted in the debris field, its systems dark, but its mechanical hull somehow intact. Life signs detected, Kell announced from the shuttle's sensor console. Faint, but stable. Valeri's tendrils rippled with what might have been respect. Perhaps, she admitted, we have something to learn from primitive technology after all. Inside the core module's cockpit, Sarah Chen lay unconscious but alive, surrounded by the brass and steel instruments that had helped humanity survive its darkest hours. The neural interface had disengaged automatically, its mechanical safety systems functioning perfectly even after centuries. And in the module's memory banks, recorded on physical media that would last 1,000 years, a message waited for the next generation of Guardians. This is Defense Platform Sierra 117. Crisis contained. Humanity's watch continues. In the years that followed, the Galactic Consortium would revise many of its assumptions about primitive technology. Research into mechanical computation and non-digital systems expanded rapidly, and human engineers found themselves in high demand. But more importantly, they learned to look at the old human warships and defense platforms with new eyes, not as relics of a primitive past, but as reminders that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most enduring. And in deep space, at the edge of known territory, brass clockwork still ticks away the centuries, standing guard against dangers too terrible to forget. For humanity's watch never truly ends. It just takes new forms, waiting for the moment when old wisdom meets new threats, and the thunder of yesterday rolls once again.